Well, a U.S. Court of Appeals has said no to President Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship. The denial likely means the matter is headed to the U.S. Supreme Court to discuss what birthright citizenship means to millions of immigrants in the U.S. And what happens next. We welcome longtime immigration attorney and founder of immigration law firm USA for All, Renata Castro, back here on the Live Zone. Ms. Castro, always good to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's jump right into this. By now, we know that a lot of folks have actually heard what has happened with regard to the three-judge panel of the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals saying no to President Trump's executive order. For those of us who, in essence, really need it put in layman's terms, what does this mean?
Well, the president tried to change the Constitution through an executive order, which is not the proper way to handle amendments or changes to the Constitution. Because the Constitution has been codified, there must be a vote in the House and the Senate, a majority vote, for then a change to be ratified by the president. So what the courts did is what we lawyers, irrespective of our political inclinations, expected the courts to do, which is enforce American law. Now, this does not mean that Trump's campaign to end birthright citizenship is done and over, because the House and the Senate majorities have already expressed an interest in proposing and voting on an amendment to the Constitution. And this time, if that happens, the Supreme Court or any courts in the United States will have a very hard time changing or challenging that, because that will have gone through the proper legal pathways to a legal change in the United States.
Yeah, I got to tell you, a lot of folks are trying to figure out what's happening with this and what will happen, which leads me to my next question. What do you think will happen next?
Wow, if you told me that the first 2 months of 2025 would be so hectic, I would not have bet this high. When it comes to a legal prediction, if you will, I believe that the House and the Senate today are very inclined to change what is a tenet, the spine of the American soul, which is birthright citizenship. Now, how America will handle this in the years to come remains to be seen. And the reason why I say that is because one of the reasons why the United States has not had to deal with lower birth rates is because we have a high number of new American citizens born every time someone is born in American soil, and that's good for the economy. So we will need to see whether or not this decision by the House and the Senate to vote on a constitutional change goes forward, and how good or bad this will be for our American future in the years to come.
Ms. Castro, it's no secret, but the birthright citizenship is literally, it's enshrined in the Constitution. And so with that being the case, how can it really legitimately be challenged yet again?
Unfortunately, the United States has had its brush with discrimination of those who should avail themselves of American citizenship several times in our history. So this is not the first time. But I believe that this is the first time that individuals are so openly in support of not granting U.S. citizenship, even to those who fulfill what our founding fathers and later what the Supreme Court interpreted to be birthright citizenship in our country. The United States really has not had Americans in the beginning of its time. We all became Americans as we went through the legal or the birth process and fought for this great nation. I think that it is time that not only we understand what makes the United States legally what it is, a strong democracy, but also what makes us Americans from the beginning. We are all people who came from somewhere, even if in different generations, to fight for what we believe in. So I think that United States and United States citizenship, much like Rome, is an ideal. And I happen to believe it's still one worth fighting for.
We've all heard of the who, what, when, where, and why. In this case, it's all about what. And what do I mean by that? In this case, what's going to happen and what will it mean to the millions of immigrant children, born right here in the U.S. if this right really goes away?
if those who are in the United States are deprived or who are born in the United States, once this law is changed and once this takes effect, then it'll be very hard to challenge it. They will most likely have citizenship of derived from their fathers, and that could create just a major chaos as the number of individuals in the United States legally. I think it is important to emphasize this. Birthright citizenship changes seek to change not only for the extension of this benefit to the children of those who are here without status, but also of those who are here with status. And if the lessons from other countries can teach us anything, Japan, which is one of the countries that are most restrictive about descendancy, actually had to retract its position and go to Brazil and recruit the millions of Niseis and Sanseis, which are second and third generation Japanese, so that they could come back to Japan and work on an aging economy because people were not having children. So once again, this could actually come back to bite us as we limit who gets to become an American and who gets to contribute to the United States as they avail themselves of the benefits of citizenship.
Wow, very interesting. We'll end with this, Ms. Castro, and that is, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't believe that this is the real, let's say, issue surrounding immigration.
I believe that the real issue surrounding immigration right now is that the country seems to be accepting, in its majority, a violation of due process. If we as citizens don't like a law, we don't break it. We change it. And that's why we have a democracy. So for the viewers who are watching, I believe, I urge you to not look at it from an immigration standpoint, because that's very polarizing right now, but from the procedures that are happening in violation of what we call a democracy and that have been codified in our laws. So if we want to have a change in law, that is our right, but it has to go through the legal pathways, and that's a vote in the House, in the Senate, and ratification by a president, as opposed to aimless executive orders just creating chaos and uncertainty at such an important time in our history.
Yet again, Renata Castro, founding member of USA for All, a full-service immigration firm, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Truly appreciate your commentary.
Thank you.